have in um, when you are practicing Dhamma in your Arya pathway. So because of because we have created so many courses along this Arya journey, which was started maybe with a small meritorious deed and which has led to this point where we are able to discuss main and core concepts of Dhamma which would eliminate this sansaric journey. So all the meritorious power which we have gathered during this sansaric journey may agglomerate together, removing all the hindrances, all the obstacles that may cover up our understanding, and may all of us get the perfect environment to understand the Supreme Dhamma, opening our eyes of wisdom, and all the past participants who are gathered today get the perfect opportunity to comprehend the Supreme Dhamma and understand the reality of the world. With this blessing, accept this blessing with a sadhukara.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
And also let us remind ourselves that we might have done various kinds of unethical deeds, unwholesome acts during this sansari journey, and they may have caused various kinds of negative energies that may cover up our pathway, especially unwholesome acts done towards the Supreme Buddha, Supreme Dhamma, and Supreme Sangha. Because we did not know what is right and what is wrong, what is the reality of the world. So we might have acted upon greed, acted upon um, hatred and ignorance. So because of that, we might have created negative energy towards this, which covers this supreme pathway. So let us remind ourselves that the wrongdoings are wrong, and we'll acknowledge that the wrongness of them, and we'll determine ourselves that we would not be doing those kinds of unwholesome acts again. With this determination in our minds, let us recite sadhukara.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
So for today's discussion, if you have any questions, you can uh, present them, because it is very important to practice Dhamma, not just listening and not just trying to understand. Understanding is one part, and with the understanding, you should practice what you understood. Then only you will get the opportunity to understand more, because this is a practical way of understanding the more practical way of practical. We have to practice this, and we have to use this in our day-to-day lives, because it is how we can experience the blissfulness of nibbana. Otherwise we would not be able to experience it. We would not be able to develop the feelings. We would not be able to uh, understand what is anicca, what is dukkha, and what is anatta in a deeper level. Initial level of understanding is just the framework of anicca, dukkha, and anatta. Then only when you apply it to your lives, you would be able to experience it through your lives, and you would be able to experience the blissfulness through your lives. So if you do it, and if you try to apply it, then you would have questions, and these questions are the most important things that we should focus on, because solving all the questions when you get while you are while you are trying to practice the supreme pathway is actually the missing pieces of the puzzle, which which would help you to comprehend the complete the comprehension of Dhamma. So if you have any questions about previous sessions we had of or the any question about Supreme Dhamma and the pathway, you may ask.
May I also take the opportunity to add on top of what Venerable Dhammadassi Thero mentioned. I think as human beings, as we travel in this journey of life, while we have had the great meritorious power to bring a Kalyana Mitra in front of us, to be able to ask and listen to the Dhamma, our old habits of worrying whether we'll be asking the right question, will my pronunciation be correct, will my sound be correct, and various little things that we worry tends to come in front or across, or rather block our ability to get to the point that we need to get by asking those questions. So it is important that we understand that we are here to understand the Dhamma that will lead us to Nibbana, which is letting go of all of it. So one of that is to keep away any of those inhibitions. And because the Dhamma is you and the Dhamma, or it is just asking, you are only there in front of Dhammadassi Thero, and you have a tremendously valuable opportunity to ask a question. However mundane it may look like, that may be the very question that will open up the next step for you to make progress and understand. So simply think of it as you and Dhammadassi Thero, or you and the Dhamma, and not worry about anyone else, and ask any question that is pertinent to your understanding of the Dhamma from whatever you have tried to practice or anything that you have faced in your life. That will always help you. And actually, that is the key thing, as Thero said, that will help you to take that step. So we very, very kindly, very humbly invite you to take that opportunity, whether in the form of text, whether in the form of a message to the group, whether in the form of speaking up. Do not worry about your accent. Do not worry about some of the words that may not go. None of us are native speakers of English, neither Thero nor myself. So it is a very open, free platform for you to ask. So with that encouragement, I hope you will take the opportunity to make the most while you have this valuable opportunity to ask questions from Dhammadassi Thero. Thero, let's give a few minutes, and afterwards maybe.
Yeah. We have one question which was privately sent to my WhatsApp number, and if anybody does not have any questions, then we'll proceed with that answer to that question.
We'll
So,
give a little time, Thero, if you don't mind, and
okay.
go, because I think it may be necessary to give a little time for it. If I may request you to just give a few more minutes.
Right.
Thero, let's proceed to the question that you have received. Then maybe afterwards there may be some questions, and I may have a few questions to ask on behalf of the group. So I warmly invite you to proceed with the question, Thero-san.
Okay. So I'll read the question, and it would be easier for you to get the context of what we are trying to discuss. So, in the case of Eastern Confucianism, morality is greatly emphasized. We grew up in that society. Are these morals and the opposite actions of the 9 akusalas, except Miccha, ditthi, almost identical? Or is it completely different from Confucian morality, since the Buddha's correct moral behavior equals opposing actions of the 9 akusalas is also done from seeing anicca, dukkha, and anatta? So when we try to discuss about this akusala, dasa akusala, or the 10 unwholesome actions, or 10 immoral actions, and dasa kusala, 10 moral actions. So there's two parts here. One is called punya kriya. Punya kriya means meritorious actions. If we translate it to English, it gives the meaning meritorious actions. Now, kusala and punya, they go together, but they are not the exact same thing. So if I give you the difference, or if I give you the if I give you the understand, if I tell you the difference between these two, akusal, kusal, and also punya kriya and apunya kriya. Apunya kriya means the sinful acts. Meritorious acts are punya kriya, and then apunya kriya are sinful acts. And the kusala akusala are actually unwholesome and wholesome actions. So, or otherwise moral and immoral actions, we can say. So there are two different things. So let's say somebody is born as a human, and in this human life, he does actions which are, or sankharas, that are not punya, or that are not wholesome. Those are unwholesome actions, and these unwholesome actions actually, the paticcasamuppada. So avidya paticcasamuppada starts, and this creates a bhava and jati. And this jati, though he does it as a human, though the original physical nature of the person is human, his actions are, let's say, dog-like. So he acts like a dog. So gets angry and does not care about the virtues, does not care about what is moral and immoral. He just acts just like a person who is having a brain of a dog. So if that is the case, then the person develops or accumulates karma in the karma power, which would, or the energy that is created would be creating causes for him to become a dog in that, maybe in the next life. So if all the causes get aligned, he would become a dog in the next life. So let's say, even though his human life is he has this tendency to do actions which are done actually by a dog. So even though he has these kinds of actions, he does good things as well. Not that his whole life is like that. So he give alms to monks. He does offerings. He organize pilgrimages to worship this worship the shrines of Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. So likewise, so he does good things as well. So those are Punya Kriya. So Punya Kriya are actually, there are 10 Punya Kriya. So if I elaborate on the Punya Kriya, so these are Dana, which is alms giving, Sila, and that is virtuousness, Bhavana, which is meditation, Dana, Sila, Bhavana, then Pratya Anumodana, Pratya Dana. Pratya Dana means what you do when you are, we have now done several Anumodana. So before the Anumodana, when we are offering, when we are doing the puja, we say that let all the Deva, Brahma, Manusa, and Amanusa, that means human, non-human, Brahma, and deities, may all of them get the opportunity to offer this puja as they are offering it by themselves. So we are offering them the pratya, or we are offering them the environment, or the necessary components that are needed for them to offer this puja as they are doing it by themselves. So now through that, what we are doing is actually we are trying to give them an opportunity, and with a alobha mind, not a greedy mind. So we have this mindset where we give to other people. So that is also a form of alms giving. So it's not directly you are giving the alms to them, but you are giving the opportunity for them to do it by themselves. So that is also a way of doing this. That is also a meritorious deed. We can say now there are 4. Now we have discussed 4. Then the 5th one is Anumodana. So we know what the Punya Anumodana is. We are asking others to be happy about these meritorious deeds, so that the delighted mindset they get while they are doing it would create causes, or meritorious causes, meritorious deeds. And that is also a meritorious deed. So Pratyanumodana, then Dhamma Savana, Dhamma Desana. What we are doing right now. We are listening to Dhamma, which is a meritorious deed. And I am preaching Dhamma, which is also a meritorious deed. Then Dhamma Savana, Dhamma Desana, and then worshipping. Who should, the people who should be worshipped. So there are persons. So we are actually not worshipping people, but worshipping qualities. We are seeing the great qualities, and we are worshipping them, those qualities. And that is also a meritorious deeds. And likewise, there are 10 meritorious deeds. So with these 10 meritorious deeds, so this person, now we'll get back to this story. So this person who is doing bad things as well is doing good things also. So he's offering alms, he's doing good things, he's wearing white dresses, and he's always happy to go to the temple and associate with the monks, and he does all of that. But in the side, he owns a illegal business, and he does harm people, and he does have unethical relationships, and he does all of this as well. So he does both. So we know that even though if there's a person like that, even though he does good things, he does meritorious deeds, his attachment is mostly towards the bad ones. It is the nature. So if he has practiced dog-like behavior throughout his life, even though he has given meritorious, he has accumulated meritorious energy, meritorious deeds, it might not, it might, or it might not. We cannot say exactly what would happen at the deathbed when he when he create that last mindset. What would happen? We do not know what would happen. So let's say in this scenario, this mindset, since as he is very fond of doing these dog-like actions, he is now at the deathbed. He is thinking about these bad things he has done in the past, and he's enjoying it because dog-like mindset enjoys dog-like actions. So at the end, the energy which was created makes him a dog. Even though he became a dog in the next life, he becomes a very posh dog. That means a puppy. And this puppy is adopted by a very rich family because he has done meritorious deeds. So he actually experiences a very luxurious life, even though he is a dog. So if you compare it with a person who is just done dog-like things in his entire life without doing meritorious deeds, he would become a normal dog, a stray dog with lot of infections and skin diseases, and also nothing to eat, shivering in the cold, get attacked by other dogs, and he's living a miserable life because no meritorious power which was generated before. So the person which we referred initially did his meritorious deeds, but in the side he was more attached to dog-like behavior. So he became a dog. Even though he's a dog, he's leading a very luxurious life as a dog. So these are the main difference between the punya and papa kriya, or meritorious and sinful actions, and also kusala and akusala. So those are two things. So kusala and akusala decides where you would be born. So it decides the place of birth, whether you would become a human, whether you would become a deity, whether you would become a brahma, or whether you would become an animal or a hellish animal. Whatever it is decided by the kusala and akusala. So if it is an akusala which comes, it would be below the human realm. Those are the four hells. If it is a kusala that comes at the deathbed, at the last mindset, if it is a kusala, then if it would be you would become a human, deity, or a brahman. So now we discussed everything about mundane stuff, or mundane area, laukika area, and there's a lokottara area, or a supramundane part, and there's a kusala. Now punya and papa is always mundane. There's no supramundane punya kriya. It is always about comfort and power and refreshness, and then comfort, the wisdom. These are the things that are created by punya kriya. Punya kriya creates the environment. Wherever you are born, it creates the perfect environment for a comfortable life. So even though he became a dog, he is now leading a luxurious life because of his punya kriya, because of his meritorious deeds. But since he's not, his mindset was not in par with the this kind of actions or meritorious deeds, he was having a akusala mindset. So at the point where he was offering, he had a kusala mindset or a laukika kusala, and this laukika kusala and lokottara kusala should be differentiated. Now when it comes to laukika kusala or mundane kusala, you have this attachment towards something. So it is not fully let's get this example of alms giving. So you are giving away, or you have this in this when you are giving something, when you are doing an alms giving, when it comes to mundane kusala, you have alobha, and this alobha is mundane, or alobha is laukika. And when it is laukika alobha, you are giving, but you are attached to something else while you are giving. Let's say you are offering some food to a person, and you think that with that meritorious power which is generated, may I get comfort, may I be born as a deity, may I be born as a Brahma. Now that is, if that is the case, you are, it is like you are releasing one hand because you are giving without releasing the stuff which is in your hand. You cannot give. So it is a releasing. So you are holding on to something, you are releasing the hand so that the other person, you are giving it to the other person. And while you are releasing one hand, you are grabbing or holding on to something else. So that is the nature of mundane kusala, alobha. So you are alobha in one aspect and lobha, and you are attached to something in the other aspect. So you are offering something to Supreme Buddha and thinking that you may pass the exam, and that is the only thing you want. So you are releasing something while you are attaching to another thing. That is the nature of mundane kusala. So when it comes to supra mundane part, the only or the main concern is nibbana. Or you are not thinking about anything. You are not thinking about exams, next life, comfort in this life, comfortability in this life, nothing. You are just offering it because you want to get rid of all the attachments. So you are not attaching, but your wish is to eliminate all the attachments. So that is nibbana. And if you have that kind of a mindset, if you have alobha, advesa, and amoha with this kind of a mindset, then that is called lokottara kusala. So if somebody does somebody does an action and the mindset is of lokottara kusala, then the person would generate causes to nibbana. And that causes which are generated towards nibbana would and at that moment there would be punya kriya as well. So what you are doing is actually a alms giving. What you are doing is listening to Dhamma. Now that falls onto punya kriya as well. So it falls onto meritorious actions as well. Now it is a whole package. You get the opportunity to attain nibbana as well as the perfect environment for that to happen. So both is there in lokottara kusala. And in laukika kusala also it is there. But punya kriya or the meritorious power is not what gets you to the next life. That means it does not decide your place of birth. It is decided by the kusala or akusala. So that is the difference. So if you have done so much meritorious deeds in your life, even though you have done that much of meritorious deeds in your life, if your gati or bhava or your nature is dog-like, if your nature is animal-like, if your nature is preta or ghost-like, then you would be born as that. But you would not suffer as the other animal who did not do meritorious deeds in his previous life. So there would be a difference because there are a lot of meritorious deeds. So in that place of birth, you would do a fine job with regard to the other ones. It's not that you would be living like a king you would be living like a deity or a god. It is not that, but if we compare the two animals who are not done meritorious deeds and who has done meritorious deeds, so the one who did meritorious deeds would do slightly better than the other one. So that's the difference between the meritorious deeds or punya and papa kriya and kusala and akusala. So what we would focus after becoming an Arya is the kusala, but the supramundane part, not the mundane kusala. Because mundane kusala is not, it would not get you anywhere. Because if you generate an energy is, it would wear away. It would eventually, it is limited. Energy is limited. Energy is, when you use it, when you spend energy, then it is it would gradually cease to exist, or it would generate the power would be, you would get the amount of power would be reducing when you are using it. So it is limited. So if you are using a limited power in an infinite samsara, you understand the logic. There's no point, because it's limited and the samsara is unlimited or infinite. So there's no point in generating mundane kusala. So we would generate, or we would do meritorious deeds in a supramundane mindset, or alobha dvesha moha, which is lokottara. With knowing the reality of the world, which is anicca, dukkha, and anatta, and with the ultimate understanding that there's no help or no salvation other than the getting rid of all the attachments and attaining nibbana. So with that great understanding, even though if you don't have the great understanding, with the understanding you have, you would focus on the supreme result and the environment, or the background behind it. It could be mainly the supreme result or nibbana, or the environment background which is needed to attain there. For example, you need life, you need refreshness, you need power, you need comfort, and you need wisdom in order to understand this Dhamma. You need the association with Kalyana Mittas. You need the perfect, peaceful mindset without any, without any fights, without any financial problems, without any problems with neighbors and everything. You need a peaceful environment. Otherwise, you would not be able to understand this Dhamma. So, with the aim of Nibbana, you are wishing, you are thinking that with this meritorious deed, may all the hindrances I have, because to understand this Dhamma, may eliminated. So that is also, in the end, that is also your final thought is towards Nibbana. So that is the pathway towards Nibbana. So hindrances and problems that you have, you are thinking of getting those eliminated. So that is also not a problem, because that also falls under the supramundane category. Though it is not not fully directed towards it, it is indirectly directed towards the Nibbana. So now this supramundane kusala, alobha dvesha moha, when somebody attains sotapanna phala, or when somebody opens up his eyes of wisdom, he or she understands perfectly well what is lokottara alobha, lokottara adesa, and lokottara amoha. And when somebody understands that, he or she can perform meritorious deeds. So the doing meritorious deeds and akusala and kusala are attached. So you cannot remove the meritorious parts and do kusala, and you cannot remove kusala and those two are attached. So if you do kusala, then that becomes a meritorious deeds, because you have to do something, you have to create sankara, and that sankara becomes a meritorious deed. And if you do meritorious deeds, if your mindset, so in the other way around, it is not always the case. So if you do meritorious deeds and the mindset is kusala, but it can be lokotara kusala or laukika kusala. So if it is mundane kusala, then it would not eliminate, or it would not create causes for your this sansaric journey to end. But if it is with wisdom, if it is with lokotara kusala, then that would create causes for this sansaric journey to end as well. So not all meritorious deeds fall under supramundane kusala, but all the supramundane kusala falls, that category is aligning with meritorious deeds. So when you are doing these meritorious deeds, it is the main aim for an Arya is to get the background that is needed to comprehend Dhamma and to practice Dhamma, and the second part is attaining Nibbana. So the wisdom that is needed, or the causes that are needed to attain Nibbana. So those are the two parts. One is background, and the second one is the ultimate phala, or the result. So with that, somebody would do meritorious deeds. So now we have a good understanding about this kusala, akusala, as well as meritorious deeds and sinful deeds. So when you are doing akusala, now kusala is actually refraining from akusala. There's no difference. That is the thing. Now you know what 10 unwholesome deeds are. So there are 3 from your which are done with the body. There are 4 which are done with words. There are another 3 which are done with the thoughts. So when you are creating thoughts, if you do it in a wrong way, if you do it with in a akusala way, then there are sinful actions, sinful acts, sinful deeds that would be creating. So all the akusala would be sinful. There are no lokotara laukika in that. Akusala is akusala. And so if you get the etymology of the word akusala, ku means garbage, or we can say rubbish or garbage, or the meaning is like something like unwanted things or bad things. So ku means bad things, and sala means you are removing those. So kusala means removing all the bad things, unwholesome things. So that is why it is called kusala. When you put an a in front of it, that is the opposite. So opposite of kusala. So you are accumulating bad things, and you have stopped the process of removing ku, or removing bad things. That is akusala. So there are 3, and hurting other beings is an akusala. And then again, taking someone's things without their approval, or we call it robbing or stealing, is akusala. And having an unethical relationship because that person belongs to a parent or a spouse or a community or somebody else. Now you are actually a performing act of stealing as well in that. So that is akusala. So there are three akusala karma, three akusala actions which are done with your body. And when it comes to your words or use of words, there are another four: lying, slandering, using harsh words, and using meaningless words. Those are also falls under akusala. And the last three, greediness, you know, the mischievous, greedy feeling that you may have those luxurious or important things, and others may not have those things, is the mindset or the corrupted mindset that one gets when somebody has this abhijja. Abhijja is something very related to selfishness, and you want things to yourself and you don't like others having them. When others have them, you get this mindset where you want their things to get harmed or get destroyed, and you get happy when that happens, kind of a mindset. So that is the corrupted mindset that you get when you have abhijja. And when you had domanassa, that is the angry, hate, malevolent and malicious mindset that you get when you have when the things do not go as you thought. So that is the domanassa. And Miccha ditthi. Now this, we have to understand that this akusala and kusala, now this akusala also has two parts. So when you are refraining from akusala, now akusala, the last part or the last action which is done from your mind, which is Miccha ditthi. And Miccha ditthi is 10. There are 10 parts in the Miccha ditthi. So if somebody does not understand what is the normal way this world works, then that person might develop Miccha ditthi. For example, a person with Miccha ditthi does not believe in karma. So he thinks there's nothing as karma. This is, you can do whatever you want. There are no good consequences to good things, doing good wholesome deeds. There are no bad consequences to doing unwholesome deeds. So he or she does not believe karma, and he or she does not believe the afterlife. He does not believe this life, the afterlife, or the life before this life. So he or she does not believe mother. There's a special person called mother, and you should respect them and you should care for them. They do not believe. And it is the same for the father as well. So likewise, there are 10 things. So they do not believe that there are special people in this world who has attained the ultimate attained enlightenment, or knows about this universal truths. They do not believe about rishis. They do not believe about people with supernormal abilities, who can understand the concepts of this world, or the realities, or the way this world work. So they do not believe those stuff, nothing. So there are 10 parts in this. So I only mentioned few. So with that understanding, or with that wrong understanding, they would act upon based on that understanding, and they would actually do harm for the to the social constructs or social structure with their wrong and potentially harmful ideas. So in a society which is perfectly normal with very good virtues and very good system would be changed by these kinds of a mindset. So they would not be respecting elders. They would not be respecting clergy. They would not be listening to them. They would be spreading their wrong and potentially harmful ideas throughout the world, throughout people, among people. So that would be the nature when it comes to Miccha ditthi. So this is the mindset. So Miccha ditthi, or the wrong mindset that the person gets. So that is the normal, that is the Akusala. So there are 10 Akusala, and when you're refraining from those things, there's a mindset that gets when you are trying to refrain. Now, Arihat is called Punya Papa Pahinas. That is, you have already eliminated everything. So he does not need that Kusala, or he do not need, because he does not need, because he does not have Akusala. So since we have Akusala, or the potential or the tendency to for the Akusala to occur or emanate, so since we have that tendency or the potential, we need Kusala. We need the opposite force. So when we get angry and thinking about hurting someone, we need the opposite force, which is Kusala. So we are refraining from hurting and killing animals. You are refraining from stealing and taking other people's things without their approval. And you are refraining from having unethical relationships. You are refraining from lying, slandering, using harsh words on people, using meaningless words. You are refraining from those. And you are refraining from malicious acts, malevolent acts. You are refraining from greediness, mischievous actions or thoughts. You are refraining from thinking mithya or spreading mithya. So you're refraining from this, and that itself is Kusala. You're refraining from Akusala is Kusala. And when you are refraining from Akusala, since it is creating something, you are creating a resistance to Akusala. That is Kusala. Creating a resistance towards Akusala is Kusala. And that is also a meritorious deeds that falls under virtuousness. And that is also creating a great meritorious power that would create or that would make you or make your environment or the surrounding better. Meritorious deeds or meritorious power that would make your life in the sansaric journey, your life would be a better one when that happens. So that is the nature of with that is the relation with Kusala and meritorious deeds. So these meritorious deeds also can be divided, as we discussed before, can be divided into two, which is mundane and supramundane. So if somebody refrains from hurting and killing and having unethical relationships, or stealing from others, with the idea that this is bad, and if I do this, I would go to this kind of bad places, and if I refrain from doing this, I would be born as a god or a deity or a human, and I would gain things. I would not be subjected to losing things or looting and stealing. I would not be subjected to harm by others. Or you know the hetupala or the cause and effects of this. When you have the laukika sammaditthi, so laukika sammaditthi or the mundane sammaditthi, you know how the world works. You know these things would get you to good places. These things would get you to bad places. You have that much of understanding when you have mundane sammaditthi. So with that sammaditthi, your thought would be like this. You would, when you are trying, when the urge to kill somebody, hurt somebody comes, you would be thinking, no, if I do this, I would be sent to, or I would be born in the hell. I don't want that. If I refrain from doing this, then I would create causes, or he would think, then since I am not hurting somebody, people would not, since I am not hurting anybody, people would not be hurting me, or I would be born as this person, that person, or I would be able to live a life without fear, and that would be his or her idea or the wish, and that is mundane, because you have this idea of living, you have this idea of continuing in the samsara, and you have this idea of experiencing the blissfulness in this samsaric journey, of course the delusional bliss. So with that understanding, that person would do meritorious deeds. He would refrain from stealing from people. So with that, when he's or she is doing it, he or she would have this mindset that nobody may steal from me, since I am not stealing from others. Since I am not stealing, since I am refraining from stealing from others, may I get the opportunity to lead a good life, and that would be a virtuous deed, and that would be a meritorious deed, and that would create causes actually for you to get there. And since if you are doing if you are offering alms also, then that would be also helping that. So that kind of a mindset would be there in a person who is actually who is doing these kinds of meritorious deeds, so or mundane or laukika laukika kusala. So when it comes to lokottara or supramundane kusala, so this person also refrains from, so if a sotapanna also gets hurt, or if somebody tries to physically harm or physically do something, or even mentally, he also would get this malicious thoughts of hurting somebody. I feel like hitting this person, but he would get this lokottara sammaditthi, supramundane sammaditthi, and in that sammaditthi, that person would have this the idea about anicca, dukkha, and anatta. So since he knows that there's nothing he can obtain by hurting this person, because as a whole in this, if you get as this world as a whole, you know it's anicca, dukkha, and anatta. There's no value that can be given. There's no point in hurting somebody, because you have nothing to gain from it. So because of that, you refrain from hurting people, because it's anicca, dukkha, and anatta. So think about a scenario: you get you are in a fight with somebody, and this person try to physically assault you, and you think that what is the outcome or the result of hurting this person? There's nothing. There's nothing you can latch on to, because you cannot control what you get according to your expectations, And the result, whichever you fought for, let's say you are fighting for an object, and let's say a plate of food. You're fighting for the last plate of food in this world. And you would know that even though you obtain it, others would be trying to, it's like a dog having a bone. So if a dog is having a fleshless bone, and he is the owner of this fleshless bone, that dog would be in fear, because others might hurt him and take this bone away from the person, from the dog. And he has to initially fight for this bone, which in fact does not quench or which in fact does not treat his hunger, because a bone, since it's a fleshless bone, cannot treat its hunger. So you are having a liability, and you are having something which is useless or pointless, and that bone would not last forever. It would decay and end up in death, or it would get destroyed because of decay at the end. So you cannot say that you won by hurting somebody and obtaining something, because you have not. You have already lost. And with this great understanding, because of Lokottara Samma Ditthi, that person would not be fighting, hurting somebody. And that is exactly Lokottara Kusala, because you have this great understanding of Anicca, Dukkha and Anatta with the refraining part. You are refraining from doing the bad thing or the unwholesome act, and that refraining mindset is very, very wise and broad, which has the exact idea of Anicca, Dukkha and Anatta. And you are not stealing because of that. You are not having unethical relationships because of that, because you know that there's nothing to latch on, nothing valuable to do these things. You are not lying, not slandering, not having not using harsh words on others. You are not using meaningless words, because you know you're not greedy. Oh, there's no abhijja, domanaso, miccha ditthi, because you know exactly there's nothing to gain out of doing those things, and you know that it is not good. Because if you think about these 10 immoral actions, these are always harming somebody. It is something like this. So this world is actually it is like a system or a flow of energies. So energy is flowing to a certain direction since it has been created with avidya. Now the energy or karmic energy is flowing throughout this universe, or throughout this world, through beings, through living beings, sentient beings. It is flowing. So if you changed it, if you change the original flow, that would disturb the equilibrium of the system, and that disturbance itself would create an energy, or it can be meritorious, or it can be kusala or akusala. It can be lokottara kusala or laukika kusala. It would be a disturbance that is created, would be deposited in the karma bhava, and would be creating causes for our next moment. So let's say somebody is, let's say an arihat. Let's take the nature of an arihat. So he's punya papa pahinas, no kusala, no akusala. There's no need to latch on to Kusala because Kusala is eliminating Akusala. So since the person or the noble Arihat does not have Akusala, there's no need for Kusala as well. So this is called Kriya Sit. Kriya mind. We can say the translation is something like that. So it is like the process is happening. So he has created this mind and body with avidya in this last life of his. So he created the mind and body, and there's a certain way that this mind and body reacts and occurs. It's just like a clock. When you put a live battery to the clock, it would show the time. These hands would move, and that is the cog wheels inside, and all the current would go through the circuit, and we would be able to see the time. And that is the nature of the clock, and it was created initially before. Just like that, with avidya, we created this mind and body, and it has a unique way of acting and operating, and that would be highlighted. That would be there in an arihat, and avidya would not be there because avidya was fully removed, eliminated. Vidya anusaya. Since there's no avidya, the normal nature of this body and mind would be the thing that we see. But when it comes to a lay person or even a or even a noble person below an arihat would have kusala as well as akusala. So since the person is having akusala, you need kusala. So for a lay person, he does not know what he's doing. He would have laukika kusala and whole lot of akusala, and he would be in the sansaric journey. There's no stopping. As soon as you see the Lokottara Sammaditthi or understand, comprehend the Lokottara Sammaditthi, then that person would start to develop Lokottara Kusala. But he would have Laukika Kusala as well in some points of his life, because he does not have the great wisdom to understand that there's no point in Laukika Kusala. But he has the viewpoint. It's just he does not develop sati or the mindfulness all the time. He would not develop the mindfulness. He would think, what if I go to the what do you call realm of deities and enjoy a bit more? And again he would think, what is the point? Tisanicca, dukkha, what is there to experience? What is there to latch on to? Nothing. I would be experiencing suffering which you see with wisdom. So there's no point. And that would be he would turn 180 degrees and come back to his original understanding. But at some points he would get out of the place. He would get derailed from his good or normal understanding. So this person, this Arya, would have Lokottara Kusala. And this Lokottara Kusala is actually, as we discussed, is with the great wisdom. The refraining is done with great wisdom. And the energy which is created because of that would eliminate causes which drags this sansaric journey. And that is how it works. Lokottara Kusala and Laukika Kusala. And we know that it is very important. Kusala is very important, and meritorious deeds are also very important. At some point when Mara, Vasavatti Mara, he is the regional king of Parnimmita Vasavarti, highest realm of gods. So it is a very luxurious realm where all the things are magically appear. They magically appear. When you think about it, even before thinking, that item magically appear in front of them. If you feel like having a, let's say, for example, let's take example in the human world, let's say you want cake. So even before thinking about cake, since you are going to think about cake, a cake would appear just in front of you. It is a world like that. So in that world, there's this regional king, which is called, his name is Vasavatti Mara. And this Mara, or the king, does not like the Nibbana, does not like Supreme Dhamma, does not like Buddha Dhammo Sangha, is against it. He says that there's no need to get rid of or attain Nibbana and eliminate the sansaric journey. There's no need. This sansara is very sara, or very good, very precious, very valuable. There are a lot of things, a lot of blissfulness in this, and you can experience it because it is what he is experiencing in his life, in the life as a god, without knowing that it is also full of suffering, because he has not developed the wisdom that is needed to understand that part. So he's caught in that mirage without knowing. So he says at one time to Supreme Buddha that do good things, do meritorious deeds, and you can live a happy life while doing meritorious deeds. Why do you need to attain Nibbana and preach that Dhamma to others also? And actually Supreme Buddha at that point says that this person, or the God, king of gods, he is wrong, and he disapproves, does not approve his message about doing good things and doing meritorious deeds. But at another point, he praises doing meritorious deeds and doing good things, saying, Sumana, you should give alms and you should do meritorious deeds. And that is very important, even for a person, even for a Brahman, even for a priest or a monk. It is very important. He says like that. And now there's a contradiction between the two sutras, but there's no contradiction, because one is about Lokottara Kusala and Lokottara and the meritorious deeds that are created with Lokottara Kusala, and also the pathway, or the aligning thoughts that would lead to Nibbana. So with the main aim of attaining Nibbana or creating causes towards Nibbana, the meritorious deeds that are done with that aim would be a must. And he says for the regional king of Vasavatti Mara, that is that the version of his meritorious deeds is not approvable, is not useful, and that is about Laukika meritorious deeds, or Laukika Kusala, which creates meritorious deeds. And within that, you would be creating a limited amount of energy which would wear away when it is used in an infinite sansara. So you understand why it is useless, why it is not useful. But when it comes to meritorious deed, which is done with Lokottara Kusala or supramundane Kusala, if somebody does a meritorious deed with that kind of a mindset, then that would create causes to eliminate the sansaric journey. And it would not wear away until the elimination is completed. It is like when you are going in a vehicle in a, let's say, in a speed of 100 kilometers per hour, whichever, if you put your foot, or if you press the brake pedal, even a slight, even in a very minute amount, that would create a cause for this vehicle to get it to a stop. So let's say you are not putting fuel, or you have taken the foot out from the accelerator. So there's no causes that would make the sansaric journey longer. But you are putting the foot in the brake pedal, and if initially it was 100 and now it comes to 99, now that 1% or that 1 kilometer per hour percentage would be removed from the whole journey. That means you have created a cause for this sansaric journey to end. So something like that. So that's why it is called the Lokottara Kusala is limitless, is infinite, because before it wearing away, the sansaric journey wears away. It comes to a halt or a stop. Because of that, it is infinite. You cannot spend it and make or get it, or the energy would not be limited. So why somebody engages in an unwholesome deed? Now this is the most important part. The supreme Dhamma is always about cause and effect. It's always about reasoning out, understanding with wisdom. So there must be a point. There must be a reason behind these 10 immoral actions. Otherwise, a Supreme Buddha would not be telling things out of the blue without reasoning, without having a logic behind it. It's not like, no, these are bad because God doesn't like them. It is not something like that. Because let's say the Supreme Lord does not like these kinds of things, that if you do those kinds of things, you would go to hell, and if you do these things which the God like, then you would go to the heaven. It is not something like that. You cannot reason out why does he does not like those kinds of things, and why does he like the other kinds of things. You cannot reason out why. But it is the Supreme Dhamma is not something like that. You can perfectly understand why these things are not good, why these things would get you to these miserable places, why the bad things or the unwholesome acts would get you to miserable places, and wholesome acts would get you to good places, and if you do it with correct understanding, to Nibbana. So what is the reason behind it? The reason is actually mainly coming with avidya. So avidya paccaya sankara can be divided into punyabhi sankara, apunyabhi sankara, and aninjabhi sankara. So if those are the three categories, you know that apunyabhi sankara cannot be done with anything else. You have to start with avidya. So avidya is the main reason for apunyabhi sankara, or lobha dosa moha. So if that's the case, why does somebody engages in a apunyabhi sankara? Let's say you have attached to something. So attachment, tanha, avidya and tanha comes together. So somebody attaches to something, and that means you have avidya in that item, because that's why you are attached. So when you are attached to something, you know the anicca, dukkha, and anatta nature. So it can change into any form, anything you don't like in a second. That is called anicca. Can change. It can become a thing that you don't like, and that your expectation is one thing, but it does not occur. It changes into something you don't like, and that is the anicca nature. But you don't know the anicca nature because you have avidya at that point, and there's the suffering. You are afraid what would happen to that item, and you are in constant fear. You are trying to protect it. You are doing sankara, or you are putting effort to uh, latch on to this thing, protect this thing, and uh, stop it from changing into something you don't like. You are doing everything you can, everything possible in that aspect as well, because you don't know the dukkha nature. You think this is sukha, because you have started with avidya, and you think that this is valuable, and you don't know the anatta nature. You do not know the pointless nature, meaningless nature in that item. Because of that, you are attached. So you don't know the anicca, dukkha, anatta nature. You think that it is nicca, sukha, and nicca, sukha, atta, and subha, and because of that wrong understanding, you are attached. So when you are attached to that item, whatever the thing that can happen that you don't like triggers your bad responses. Now, this is the point where you start hurting people. When you start stealing, when you start having unethical relationships, when you start lying to protect what you like, when you start slandering to protect what you like, when you start using harsh words, meaningless words, whatever you do is to latch on to the original form of the item, which you don't like to change, which you find valuable. And the greediness, the selfishness, thinking that other people also having this and you don't like that, and you want it to yourself, and you are passing, and you are seeing a person who is who has a very nice suit or a dress, and you think, what if I get that dress and other persons do not get that dress? This is the uh, kind of mindset that comes because of attachment. Because you are attached to something, the other thing happens, you get angry, you get hate, you get malevolent thoughts, malicious thoughts. Since you are attached to this world so much, you are so blinded, you think that there's no need to think about people, mothers, fathers, and important figures, especially monks and other uh, clergy, and you don't think that there's important. There are consequences to good and bad things. You just forget about this, and you create your own vision about this world and do as you please, and that kind of a mindset would occur. So it is because of avidya. These 10 immoral actions are there. So what happens when you do these 10 immoral actions because of avidya? You are changing the flow of energy which is happening in this world because of avidya. So you do not get the you do not get the luxury, or you do not get the money to buy this nice dress which is hanging in the showcase. So you get the mindset. So you are attached to it. You think that it is nicca, sukha, atta, subha, and you are attached. And the second thing that would come to your mind, I should buy this. Now that is attachment. That is raga. And though now you have created, even though you have created raga, You don't have money. You are poor. So then the next mind, the second mind would occur. What if I steal it? Now that is how you get to Akusala. So if you don't have this kind of avidya in the first place, if you don't have a mindset where you like dresses, clothes, you would not get that feeling of stealing it. But the feeling of the amount of attachment, amount of avidya, if it is so high, it is directly proportional. The amount of avidya is directly proportional to the amount of or the level of action or kusala action which you are going to do, or the level of stupidity, you can say. So that's why the person does not think about any consequences of stealing, whether it is in this life or the life after. You can go to hell. You can experience a lot of pain and suffering because of that. Let's forget about that. That is, we cannot, because that cannot be seen with our five senses. You need this supernormal abilities or great level of wisdom to understand or reason out that. Even though the level we cannot see is there, there's a part that we can see. If you get caught by the police, you'd be put in the jail, you'd be suffering, you would be fined, you'd be tortured. Whatever the thing can happen, you would get caught by the owner, and that person can shoot you, hit you, and various things can happen. But the level of stupidity is so much, or the avidya blinds your ability to reason out and think. And since it is so much, you would just go for the action, go for the akusala, and create a lot of bad consequences because of that in this life as well as in the upcoming lives. So that is how it happens. So think about a person who is addicted to drugs. What he is doing, since the attachment is so much. So you have to get these extreme examples because it is very easy to understand. So think about it. So since the attachment is so much, that person has sold all his belongings, all his uh, property, and now in the road, homeless. Even though he is in the road homeless, since the attachment or the avidya is fueled every day, each day, with each shot or the dose he takes, dose of drugs that he takes, since it's the case, he would start taking other people's things, stealing, to start with stealing, and it would go to killing and hurting people, and that is how it works. So Dasa Akusala, or the 10 unwholesome actions, are actually the gateway, or the it is how we can understand that we are doing, or there's underlying avidya. So that is how you would understand. That is why in the eightfold pathway, it is directed towards refraining from doing 10 immoral actions. Because it is very easy to detect. If you get this kind of a bad mindset, or the mindset to steal, or the mindset to hurt, you would know at that point, if you are an Arya, sati would be, or the mindfulness would be there at that point. It would be emanated, and you would know exactly how you felt. I have this bad thought in my mind. You'd know exactly at the point it was created. Even though initially it would take time, since if you are practicing it, it would become better. As soon as it comes, you would be able to understand. And since you understand at the point when you get this mindset, the bad, negative kind of a mindset, now you know you can work out your way back onto where you have given the value. That means you can work out your way back to the attachment, avidya. Just like in the case of that dress or the suit. So you see this, you feel like stealing. As soon as, so now that point, in that point, you have a very you have a lot to do to improve yourself, because a person would not get that far in this example. So if somebody has this habit of stealing throughout his life, and he has just understood the concept of Dhamma, it can happen because he has this avidya, which is very powerful in this in his mindset. So as soon as he sees this object, that avidya would create that old mindset of his. But as soon as he sees it, as soon as he understands that this is wrong, he would now have to dig in and find the problem, which is at the attachment he has towards these suits. So if it is towards clothes only, it can be a general problem of stealing because he likes stealing. Now that is a different one, different story. Now we are focusing on a story where he's only thinking of stealing clothes. So he's attached to clothes. So he needs to see the anicca, dukkha, and anatta nature, which in fact will reduce the amount of value given to these clothes. And because of that, he would not be getting that so vexatious mindset. So initially, it was a very, very vexatious mindset that was created. That's why he could not stand there without thinking of stealing it. Because you have to do something when you have this vexation. So just like a person who has taken very, very spicy food, now he has to do something about it, because it is a very painful and a very unpleasant experience when you have very high spicy food. So you have to at least take water or milk or whatever. You cannot stay. Just like that, when you have this avidya, mindset of avidya, and you have created this very, very vexatious mindset, you cannot do anything about it. You just think about doing something. You just need to get rid of this vexation. So you go for stealing, the wrong thing. But a person who has understood the supreme Dhamma knows that the culprit which created the vexation itself is a lie. So he knows the anicca, dukkha, and anatta nature. So as soon as he sees that, the reason for the vexation is not there. Thus, the vexation is not there. So when the vexation is gone, he does not need to do anything about it. So there's no need for 10 immoral actions. Or in this case, stealing. There's no need for stealing. So this is the basis behind it. So you have to understand how avidya and these 10 immoral actions are working together. They work together. You lie because you have something to latch on to, something to protect, something to something valuable. You think that anything can happen or something can happen to that important item. So you lie. You slander because you don't like the others, to get into those that you do not like sharing, you do not like uh, the spot you have, or the comfort you have been taken away. So anywhere when you have these 10 immoral actions, it's based on avidya and attachment. Since you are attached, since something can happen to this item, you go for these, what do you call, coping methods. These are 10 coping methods which are negative. You can live, you can live a successful, maybe a successful life in this life, because karma does not come back as soon as they are committed. It would take time, just like a seed getting time to become a tree. So you would use these wrong coping methods in your life to do, or to obtain, to control, thinking that you are controlling. You would use those 10 immoral actions to control this world. And you'd use this to you are trying to control this life and this world according to your expectations. But those are wrong coping methods, which in fact may get you in a lot of trouble. And if you know this, at least this part, that is laukika sammaditthi, you know that this would get you to bad places, and you know that if you refrain from this, you would be in good places, human realm, deities, or brahmas. So that mindset would be a laukika sammaditthi, and that would help you to survive this sansara. That means survive in this sansara without getting uh, the hellish or the very bad experiences. But since it is not something you can latch on to, that means if you get uh, good friends which knows about laukika sammaditthi or mundane sammaditthi, then they can enlighten you about it, make you understand about it, and you would be doing fairly okay in that life. But since it is not permanent, as soon as you go, or as soon as a bad person or a negative person gives you inputs in the other direction, since you have no basis or a very what do you call, very solid understanding or a very solid wisdom about what you are believing, you would change your stance and you would become a Miccha ditthi person. So you get rid of the sammaditthi, laukika sammaditthi, and you would become a Miccha ditthi person with all the Miccha ditthis. If somebody is clever enough to make you understand about his view about the world, since the person is not having the great wisdom behind the understanding, he would fall for it. But when it comes to the Lokottara Sammaditthi, it comes with great wisdom. Nobody would be able to say otherwise. If somebody has seen anicca, nobody would be able to say otherwise. Dukkha, anatta, nobody would be able to say otherwise. So it is permanent up until you attain Nibbana. It would be there until you attain Nibbana. So that is the difference between Kusala and Akusala, as well as we have discussed the differences and the similarities between Punya and Papa as well. So if you, since you are practicing this in your day-to-day lives, it is very important that to understand that this is the most important part. This is about detecting your level of avidya. which is hidden, which you cannot identify. That's why there are 10 immoral actions. If you can detect an immoral action that you are doing this kind of, you are thinking of this kind of a thing, you can detect. It is the tip of the iceberg. You see the tip of the iceberg, but the majority of the iceberg is below the water. So you are able to see the part that is below the water if you understand the correct way of using this technique. Because you cannot see initially what are the components or the what do you call, various forms of avidya that you have in your mind or in you inside you. So you don't know. So as soon as you get this kind of a mindset, so now these 10 immoral actions become 40. There are 40, so one becomes 4. So it's something like this. If you get the first one, hurting and killing, hurting in any kind of a way. So it is hurting, that means you are hurting the person and you are commanding somebody to hurt on behalf of you. That also falls under the first one. And the third one is you are indirectly helping the hurting process. And fourth one is you are praising the hurting. You praise. You say that, yes, you did the right thing. You should have, not that, not you it is very necessary. You did the right thing and you hurted him and you hit him. What else there? What else? What else you can do? It is the right thing you did, and that is also falls under the first one. So see that it becomes very, very fine and very, very. It is very, very fine, and you should have a good sati or a mindfulness and a good wisdom, and it would develop when you are doing it. And when you develop, you would understand that these are wrong things I have been doing. These are these are things that I have not detected before, but now since I have developed the Arya pathway, or since I am going towards Nibbana, now I am able to understand these fine problems I have. So for stealing also it's like that. You steal directly and you are commanding or asking somebody to steal on behalf of you, and you are helping in an indirect way to steal. You are saying, and the fourth one, you are praising stealing and robbing. You say that, yes, he has a lot of money. It is okay to steal from that kind of a person. Now that falls under the wrong, unwholesome acts. So it's the same for the third one, having unethical relationships, and you praise it. Even if you praise it, even if you indirectly asking somebody, or or commanding somebody to do it, or you are doing it yourself, falls under this category. It's the same for lying. It's the same for slandering. You get the pattern. Now 10 into 4 is 40. Now you have 40 akusala. Now it's not 10 unwholesome actions. Now it has become 40. Now think that you have been doing this even if you have not directly hurted somebody in this past, let's say 10 years, even if you have not directly asked somebody or commanded somebody to hurt another person, even if you have not indirectly asked somebody to hurt someone, you might have praised when something bad happens to a person, yes, he deserved it. He deserved this, whatever the thing happened. So he was doing a bad thing or an immoral thing and unaccepted thing in the society, and he was sentenced to death. And the people are saying that it is good. A person's death is good. A person's a person getting killed by whatever the reason might be wrong. The reason might be not a fair reason, but there's no we have no right to. Now we are not going to change the world. Now we are not going to change the legal system. So because it is anicca, we cannot do anything about it. It's the world. It's how it is. So what we are doing is we are trying to eliminate the corruptedness in our mind. We are trying to get rid of avidya, which leads to harm and hurt. So we do not comment that kind of things. We know this is the world, this is the nature, this is the cause and effects. You see the cause and effects. You see that if you do these kinds of things, this is the negative consequences that comes. What can we do? All the people, all the sentient beings are helpless. The sansari journey, they does things with avidya, and this creates negative energies which comes back and haunts them, comes back and um, makes them miserable, makes their lives miserable. Now that is the nature. But what else? What is there to praise about? What is there to be sad about? No, you don't go to the both ends. You just see the real nature and you just be neutral about it. So it's the same for the stealing. It's the same for the third unethical relationships and everything. You can think deeply now about what are the things that you have been doing wrongly. So there's another point that we need to understand, that these 10 immoral actions are always combined, or let's say always there, and it actually does these 10 immoral actions. If you do those things, when you are doing it, it actually does something bad or negative to another party, or a second party is violated. Now that's the correct terminology. A second party is always violated when you are doing 10 immoral actions. Go from 1 to 10. First one, there's no doubt. Second one, no doubt. Third one, you understand that a second party is violated when having unethical relationships and things, because it's the social norm. Now these all are based on social constructs. Now let's say I am saying that this robe is mine. Now that is a thing that we think. It's not that this really belongs to me, but we have created a way in this society that if you give money, or if somebody gives something to another person and says it is yours, then everybody thinks that it is ours. So this robe is mine. This ball that I use is mine. So we think like that, not in a way of wisdom, but to survive in the world, we have to have those kinds of constructs. So you think that your property is yours. So since everybody else also thinks like that, and everybody else also agrees to this kind of a construct, now you cannot steal it because of that. Now you're going against the construct, social construct, and you are saying you are taking other people's things, and that creates a violation, because you agreed initially that this is the system that we would use. Because initially, in the beginning of the kalpa eon, we did not have those kinds of rules. Everybody was free to walk everywhere and have everything that is there. It was a public place. The earth was a public place. Now it has become private. You have created walls, you have created houses, and you have created things, social construct that decides this is yours and this is ours. Before it was not something like that. Because of that, there was no stealing. You cannot steal because there's no social construct like that. It is the same for unethical relationships as well. So in this construct, social construct, you have decided that this person is mine and that person is theirs or his or hers. So because of that, the same construct applies. So when lying somebody, it is the same thing. You are violating that person's right to know the truth. When you are slandering, there's no doubt about it. You understand. When you are using harsh words, you are violating. When you are using meaningless words, you are violating other person. Then again, greedy, malicious thoughts, and spreading and thinking about wrong and distorted views. So these are things that are created with thoughts. Now, when it comes to thoughts, how does it violates other people? So if you know, this mind acts as a transmitter, which transmits our thoughts to the 10,000 Sakwala, or 10,000 galaxies, we can say. It is not the correct word, terminology, but let's say something like that, or a very, very big area. We are transmitting that signal. If we are transmitting this abhijja signals, or let's say domanassa signals, it all acts as the same. So domanassa signals, or hate and malevolence and malicious thoughts, you are thinking about them. And when you are thinking about those, you are spreading that to all the whole universe. So you are doing, or you are violating others by doing that, because the others also get impacted. It would impact on their minds, and they would become malevolent and malicious as well. So it would create causes, or it would make their minds more prone for violence because of our actions. So you are doing wrong for many billions of sentient beings by even thinking. That's why they have very, very severe consequences. Once you thought something like that, you would be spending hundreds and thousands of years in hell, because you have done wrong to hundreds and thousands or even millions and billions of sentient beings. So even if something like that is very small, the multiplying factor is very large, you would be experiencing a very large consequence. It's the same for metta as well. So the opposite of hatred, metta. If you spread it, it also would be experienced, or the people's minds would get calmed, and they would become very virtuous and calm and quiet, and that would also would be influencing millions and billions of sentient beings. Because of that, the consequence is also like that. A positive consequence, you thought that it is a very small thing, I just thought it. But the impact is huge in a positive way, something like that. So this is the end, and I hope this is very very important for you to understand the concept behind, especially the concept behind Dasa Akusala, or 10 immoral actions. And with this Dasa Akusala, or 10 immoral actions, and refraining from those, or 10 moral actions, so we can say wholesome acts. If you understand the basis behind it, why it is important to eliminate the avidya and to understand the supreme reality, supreme bliss, or the attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana, then that is the goal. So it is not just blindly following a set of rules without knowing why we are doing it. It is just we exactly knows the logic behind it, roots behind it, and we know exactly what is the result if we refrain from doing unwholesome deeds. So that's the end of the discussion. And if you have any questions, you can ask, and the forum is open for discussion.
Thank you very much, Venerable Thero, for that very detailed explanation. I think that would have helped, since it touched again on some of the core concepts and the basics, and allowing everyone to reflect upon them and to also add on top of it. So as Thero said, we kindly request you to send any questions if you have any. If not, we will end today's session with a short Anumodana, since we've now almost in 2 hours' time. Thero, we have received a question. Should I read it out?
Yeah. Okay.
If he or she don't have much obsession with clothes, cars, alcohol, or food, but she worry a lot about his family, the health, emotions, social life, and so on, that also causes great pain in his or her heart. Does this kind of mind belong to the consequences of Dasa Akusala, Miccha ditthi, which does not understand cause and effect? Why does not understanding why the family is suffering, why these understanding of the causes that is being created, and suffer along due to the family. So while other things are not there in their life, there is suffering due to their worry about the family and how well they are. Does it mean that the cause and effect of why those things happen is not understood? I believe is the question there.
Yes. Now, when it comes to the this question, now we have to understand that this is not a on and off switch. It is a pathway, a gradual thing. It's just like what do you call a staircase. You are not just in a staircase. You are gradually ascending, gradually going up. So just like that, this pathway is something like that. So the Akusala, when it comes to Akusala, so as I explained before, it violates somebody, a person, or a bunch of people. It violates. So you understand now, when you have these wrong and distorted views about the world, there's no mother, there's no special person called mother, there's no special person called father, there are no consequences, you can do whatever you want, there are no repercussions behind it. If you have that kind of a mindset, then that is harmful for you and as well as your people around you. And if you don't worship, or if you don't respect the people, or the people with great qualities, if you don't listen to them, if you don't believe that there is there is the reasons behind this life, if you don't understand there's a life before this life, and a life which would be if you do not believe afterlife, then so everything is directed towards one thing. These all the things that we discussed right now is directed towards liberation of doing anything you want. So you want to liberate yourself, your mind, and you have this guilty feeling you get when you do a bad thing. So this is exactly what this is exactly what Miccha ditthi is about. You get a bad feeling when you hurt somebody, when you steal from somebody, when you have an unethical relationship, lie, slander, anything. If you do those kind of thing, you get a bad or a negative feeling, or a very feeling of remorse, or a feeling of guilt in your mind. And with this kind of a reasoning out, when you have this kind of a very wrong reasoning, or a wrong logic in your mind, you can reason them out. You have, oh, it is okay, there's nothing like that, there's no afterlife, there's no life before this, we have this life, we can enjoy, there's no good or bad, you can do whatever you want. If you like to kill, then you can kill. If you like to steal from somebody, just go on, it's okay, kind of mindset. So that violates you as well as the society as a whole. So that's called Miccha ditthi. So this is the Laukika Miccha ditthi. This is a Laukika area. But this is the first steps of the staircase. But when you have removed, or when you have eliminated that kind of wrong mindset, most of the people does not have this kinds of a mindset. They are good, virtuous and religious people, whether they are Christians, whether they are Hindus, whether they are Muslims and other religions. They follow virtues. They have this kind of mindset. They treat their what do you call sacred ones. They believe what they have told, and whether maybe it's not the case of when it comes to karma and everything, but there's a level of understanding, at least to some extent. They do not kill people. They have a practice, they have virtues, they have this idea that these are not good, these are hurting people, these are bad for the society, so we should not do these kinds of things. At least that much. When you have that much of understanding, when you have become a reasonable human being, that is the only that is the fundamental background that is needed for someone to understand Supreme Dhamma. So now, if you have got into the first stair of the staircase, now it is the next stair you have to get into. You are going up the stairs. So next stair is about understanding Supreme Dhamma. So when you understand the Supreme Dhamma, those is the basic of. So those are the basics. Those were the basics. Without the basics, you would not be able to even understand Dhamma. So it's just like a staircase. You need to understand. So next stair, if you get into the next stair, if you understand that a Miccha ditthi is deeper. Now that Miccha ditthi is not everything. This is called Dasavastuka Mithya ditthi. So Dasavastuka Mithya ditthi, when it is it is not there in most of the people. So when it at least for some extent, it is not, at least few of them are not there. Or if all the 10 are there, these are called Parama Asappurisa. Or we can say bad people and the most bad people. So opposite is noble people, and the opposite is, if you want to go to the opposite end, that means if you want to become a noble person, you have this background. You should have this background where this 10 was 10 or Dasavastuka Mithya ditthi, or this Mithya ditthi that we discussed is not there. So you have to eliminate those bad viewpoints. So when you don't have that, and when you have the perfect background to understand Dhamma, the next step is understanding Dhamma. And it goes up like that. So all the Miccha ditthi is eliminated when you have completed Samma ditthi. So it is there up until the Nibbana. So even so, your ditthi is fully removed, eliminated, but it is about Sakkaya ditthi, or the Sakkaya ditthi is fully eliminated. So it is said that even if you have become a Sotapanna, you do not fall into permanent Miccha ditthi. Because temporarily you can fall into Miccha ditthi. You listen to a person, you feel like this person is right, and you get tricked. Your mind get tricked, and you feel like it is right. And when you reason it out later, you understand, no, it is wrong. This is the correct pathway. You can derail from the correct pathway. And since you have all the ingredient, all the information that are needed to complete the pathway, when you reason out, when you compare the two, you understand that this is wrong. No, this is not the correct pathway. What I understood originally is the correct pathway, and you would just fall back right in to the pathway. So it's Miccha ditthi is a very broad topic. Now we discussed only about the Dasavastuka Mithya ditthi. There are only 10 parts that are very worst parts, and this is the Mithya ditthi at its best, or the worst Miccha ditthi. There's no Miccha ditthi beyond this. This is the level of where you hurt yourself and the society. So if you don't have that much of Miccha ditthi, then there's Dasavastuka Mithya ditthi is not there. So with the level of understanding, with the level of wisdom, you would not get attached to the external clothes, property, cars, everything. But since you do not have that much of wisdom, so because the wisdom when it comes to people around, especially yourself, your body and your mind, is very high. The attachment is very high. The avidya is very high. So the level of wisdom you should develop to that much of extent to eliminate those kinds of the suffering. So you would experience. So from the question, I understand now you have realized that there are wrong, or there are suffering element because of that, because of the attachment you have towards your family members and everything. That is enough, because that knowing that there are problems, that there are sufferings because of that attachment, you would not encourage that attachment. You would in fact see the problem with that attachment. And when you are doing that more and more, when you see the problem, you would not you would not see it as Subha. You would not see it as Atta. Nicca Sukha Atta Subha. Because you have seen that there are problems because of attachment. This causes for suffering occurs. Now I am suffering because of this. And there's actually, if I reason out with my wisdom, there's nothing to latch on to. There's nothing to see, say that there are that is valuable. But since the wisdom is not that developed, I am attached. And the attachment does not get worsened over time. It weakens because you are thinking in the correct direction. So that's what is needed. If you are not thinking in the correct direction, the only solution is strengthen your understanding and trying to think in the correct direction, or think the problem as anicca, dukkha, and anatta. So if I go through the question again. Yes, yes. Now the cause and effect, the cause and effect is fully understood by a Supreme Buddha. We would be able to understand to the extent that all the raga, dvesha, moha are eliminated. But we would not be able to understand it in a molecular or a very, very, very deep, fine level. But that is enough. What we need is elimination of raga, dvesha, moha. So we would be able to understand it fully when we attain nibbana. Up until that point, we would be knowing it. We would be knowing the concept. We would be understanding the concept. But the wisdom comes with it. Wisdom that develops with this understanding is gradually coming. It is not that understanding comes first, or the process or the theory is understood first, but for the wisdom to develop, you need the experience as well, and experience as well as the use of it, and that would, or the samadhi would be the reason for the wisdom, and that would take time, and that would gradually come, and there's no nobody would be able to understand the causes and effects, even if they understand, since the mindfulness is not completed, or the Satara Satipatthana is not completed, you would not be able to fully understand, or the fully comprehend the moment, or the problem in the moment, problem in that moment, or the avidya in that specific moment, because there was no mindfulness at that point. So you would act upon avidya and do the things that are not, that should not be done. But it would get better over time, because that's why we always have to remember this is a pathway. What you need to do is follow the pathway and work on the big things. So the big things would be eliminated, and the small things would be bigger, or you would perceive them as bigger problems. So work on the immediate big things you have, big problems, big akusala, big attachments. If you do work on the big attachments, big akusala, and big things in your life, they would get eliminated. So the samadhi would become stronger, and you would be able to see the smaller things which you could not detect before as big. You would see them as bigger problems, and then you would be able to easily tackle them as well. So it's something, I hope I have given a reasonable answer. If you have any problems about this answer, or any more clarifications about this answer, you can ask.
I think the answer has been adequate according to the replies being received, Thero.
Yes.
Considering that, I know other questions have come through, and also because we passed about 2 hours, may I suggest, Thero, that we end the session with a small Anumodana?
Yes, sure.
Thero.
So today we discussed especially about the Kusala and Akusala, the basic things that we should understand when we are practically completing this pathway. So you have been listening and you have been paying attention to this Supreme Dhamma. As we have discussed, you know that this listening to Dhamma is a meritorious deed, and you have done it with Lokotara Kusala Mula or Alobha Desa Moha, at least for the most part. So the energy or the positive energy that is generated throughout this puja or throughout this discussion would create causes for you to understand this Dhamma more and more. Your wisdom would get elevated, and the background that is needed, especially the Kalyana Mitta, association of Kalyana Mitta, as well as the peaceful and quiet environment, peace in mind that is needed for you to comprehend Dhamma would be created with this great meritorious power. And may everybody get the great opportunity, great environment to understand the Supreme Dhamma, and in that environment, may all of you get this, get the message of Supreme Dhamma by a Kalyana Mitta, opening up and completing the Supreme pathway. With this blessing, accept this blessing with a sadhukara.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
And
Sadhu, sadhu,
let
sadhu.
us also spread this great meritorious power to all the sentient beings, including especially our dead relations, deceased relations, and also the people who helped us during the sansaric journey, especially our parents and teachers, and also people who gave us jobs and people who helped us in various ways when we are down, when we are lost in life, people who uh, people who are hurted by us without knowing. We might have done various bad deeds, immoral deeds, unwholesome deeds towards the sentient beings, thinking that it is the right thing to do, and many would have suffered because of us. Let us remind all of those sentient beings as well at this great moment, and also let us remind all the deities in the six realms of gods and also 20 planes of Brahma, and the people who helped us to conduct this Zoom discussion, people who are behind the scene, people who um, helped with these platforms and energy and everything, tablet PCs and everything, and let us remind all of them, and people who constructed these temples, and people who devoted their time and effort to for the betterment of Buddha Sasana, ministry of Buddha. So let us remind all of them, including all the sentient beings in the world, and let us spread this great meritorious power to them as well. May they be delighted seeing these uh, Dhamma discussions. May they be, may they become happy. May they become delighted, and may they get into a happy mood, and may they attain, or may they develop the background to understand the Supreme Dhamma. If they are in miserable places, may they refrain from doing sins. May they replace those sins with meritorious deeds, and may they understand the supreme reality, or may they understand the reality of the word ultimately attaining the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Let us spread this meritorious power to them as well with metta and kindness with the sadhukara.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
With that, we would be ending the Punyanumodana, and I would be reciting this blessing for everyone. Abhivadana Silissa, Nichang Vaddha Pichaino, Chattaro Dhamma Vaddanti, Ayuvanno Sukambalang, Ayurarogya Sampatti, Sakka Sampatti Mevacha, Ato Nibbana Sampatti, Minate Samijjatu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you very much to
Sadhu,
Dhammadassi
sadhu,
Thero
sadhu.
for taking the time to give us the Dhamma explanations as well as to answer our questions and also do the Punyanumodana. And also many thanks to the participants for your timely association to the Dhamma discussion, your questions, and for your kind patience. So with that, we finish today's session, and we will inform the date of the next one, and shortly I will be uploading the audio and the video of this. Thank you very much. Teruvan Saranai to all.
Teruvan Saranai, everybody.